Have you ever been told that you look younger than your actual age? People often smile and say you don't look a day over 30, even though you're much older. It may seem like a compliment about your skin or lifestyle, but what if I told you there's more to it? Looking young isn't just about appearance. It can be a sign, a reflection of something deeper going on within you. Today, I want to share 7 surprising reasons why you might look younger than your age. These are not the usual tips you hear about diets and exercise. These are spiritual, emotional, and character-based reasons. And if you relate to any of these, perhaps it's time to be grateful and to reflect. Have you ever looked at someone and thought there's something about them, they just look so calm, so youthful, so at ease with life? Often that has very little to do with skincare or fitness routines. It has everything to do with inner peace. When your heart is at peace, your face reflects it. You see, many people carry a silent burden. They're constantly stressed, overthinking, angry, or anxious. And over time, those emotions start to appear on the face. The furrowed brows, the tense jaw, the tired eyes. Stress doesn't stay hidden inside. It eventually finds a way to show itself, especially in the form of premature aging. But when someone learns to let go, to truly forgive, and to stop holding on to grudges, they experience something rare, emotional freedom. And that freedom brings with it a lightness, a calm, a glow. Think about it. If your mind is constantly racing, your body is always tense, your sleep is disturbed, and you're constantly in conflict either with others or with yourself, how can your appearance not be affected? But now imagine the opposite. A person who has made peace with their past, who isn't bitter about what they've lost, who doesn't allow the wrongs of others to live rent-free in their head. A person who truly trusts that whatever has happened is part of a bigger plan. That kind of belief, that surrender, it softens your face, it relaxes your body, it gives you that look of calm strength, even if life has been hard. It's like your heart sends a signal to your face saying, we're good, we've let it go, we're moving on. And you know what? People notice. They may not know exactly what it is, but they feel it. They say you look so fresh, or you haven't aged a bit. What they're really seeing is the absence of emotional weight. Inner peace is not a product of an easy life. It's often the result of deep pain that's been processed, understood, and released. People who reach that level of inner clarity didn't just wake up one day with it. They made conscious choices to forgive, to detach from things beyond their control, to prioritize peace over being right. And that's why they look younger. So if you've been working on your inner self, trying to find peace, trying to let go of what hurts, and choosing faith over fear, know that it's not just healing your heart, it's preserving your face, your energy, your entire presence. That is the beauty of a peaceful soul. It quietly transforms the outside without needing any noise or attention. Sometimes people who look younger than their age don't even realize they've been protected. They go about their lives without doing anything extravagant, no special creams, no fancy health trends, but somehow they still have that glow, that calm presence, that vitality that makes others wonder, what's their secret? Well, sometimes the secret is not in what you've done, but in what you've avoided. You see, there are certain habits, some physical, some emotional, that quietly damage us over time. They may not show immediately, but slowly, year by year, they take a toll. Not just on our health, but on how we look, how we move, how we carry ourselves. Think about it. People who indulge in excessive smoking, drinking, drug use, or even an unhealthy social lifestyle often end up looking much older than they are. And it's not because of genetics. It's because these actions drain the body. They rob the skin of its vitality. They weaken the organs. They disturb sleep. They poison the bloodstream. And more than anything, they agitate the soul. But if you've been someone who has consciously or even unknowingly stayed away from these things, that's a blessing. Perhaps it was your upbringing. Perhaps it was your values. Perhaps it was your connection with your faith that helped you avoid these traps. And those choices, those moments where you said no to the wrong invitation, no to peer pressure, no to temporary pleasure, those moments protected your future self. Maybe you didn't realize it at the time. Maybe you felt like you were missing out. But now, years later, you're reaping the rewards. You have more energy, a clearer mind, fewer regrets, and yes, a youthful appearance that stands out in a world where many are aging far too quickly. And let's not forget the emotional side of this too. Staying away from harmful habits also means staying away from harmful company, from gossip, from toxic relationships, from soul-draining arguments. All of that matters. Because every time you preserved your peace, instead of feeding drama, you gave your body a break. You gave your nervous system a rest. You chose recovery instead of chaos. And perhaps that's why when people look at you now, they say you haven't changed, or you still look the same as you did years ago. They think it's just your skin or your hair or some natural gift. But what they're really seeing is discipline, values, protection, divine favor. So if you've been blessed to live a life where you avoided those silent destroyers, don't just take pride in it, be grateful for it. It means your body, your mind, and your soul were protected. You might not have been perfect, no one is, but the fact that you made better choices most of the time, that's worth everything. And now you're wearing the result of those choices on your face, in your posture, in your energy. And that's something no product can buy. If there's one emotion that drains a human being emotionally, spiritually, and physically, it's hatred. Hatred doesn't just hurt others. It eats away at the person who carries it. It settles deep inside the chest and spreads like rust. Quietly, slowly, and often invisibly, it starts to affect your health, your mindset, your spirit, and yes, your appearance. Now think of someone you know who forgives easily. Someone who doesn't hold on to grudges. Someone who may have been wronged many times but chose to take the higher road every time. That person always seems lighter, calmer, younger. That's not an accident. When you let go of anger, when you choose to forgive not because the other person deserves it but because you deserve peace, you experience something rare in this world, emotional liberation. You stop replaying painful memories in your mind. You stop seeking revenge through words or actions. You stop poisoning your own heart for the sake of proving a point. And when that poison leaves, it takes the tension with it. The stress leaves your face. The tightness in your shoulders disappears. Your breathing becomes easier. Your smile becomes more natural. You regain presence. You see, carrying hatred is like dragging a heavy bag everywhere you go. No matter how well you dress, no matter how successful you appear to others, if you're holding on to bitterness, it shows in your expressions, in your reactions, in your energy. People can feel it even if they can't name it. But forgiveness, that's like putting the bag down. You free up mental space, you sleep better, you worry less, and over time that calmness begins to reflect physically. Your skin glows differently, your eyes brighten, you move through life with less weight. And here's something beautiful. Forgiveness is not weakness. It doesn't mean what happened was okay. It means you're strong enough to release the past and brave enough to protect your future. You don't forgive for them, you forgive for you. Many people who look younger than their age don't realize that one of the main reasons is that they've been quick to forgive. Not because they haven't been hurt, but because they've made a conscious choice I refuse to allow someone else's mistake to cost me my peace. It's one of the most spiritually mature decisions a person can make. And the reward is not just in the afterlife. The reward begins here on your face, in your body, in the atmosphere you carry. So if you've forgiven people who never apologized, if you've chosen peace over vengeance, if you've walked away from fights that would have drained you, know this. You've added years to your soul and taken years off your face. That's the power of mercy. That's the secret beauty of a heart that doesn't hold on to hate. That's why sometimes the youngest looking people are those who've suffered the most, but refuse to let that suffering define them. Their softness preserved them. So next time someone compliments your youthful energy, maybe smile and think to yourself, that's what forgiveness looks like. There's something powerful, almost healing about the sound of genuine laughter. Not the forced kind, not the kind you use to hide pain, but real, heartfelt, warm laughter that rises from a soul that still finds reasons to smile, even after everything it's been through. And believe it or not, people who laugh more age slower. Now, I'm not talking about those who have perfect lives. No one does. I'm talking about those who choose joy even when life isn't going their way. People who look for light even in the darkest rooms. Who focus on blessings more than problems. Who don't take life so seriously that they forget to enjoy it. They laugh, they smile, they uplift, and slowly they create an emotional environment that preserves their spirit and their youth. You see, complaining is heavy. Constant negativity drains your mind and eventually your body. It weighs on your posture. It dulls your expression. It shows in your face. When you complain often, you wire your brain to look for what's wrong. And when you're always focused on what's broken, you start to feel broken. But joy renews you. A single moment of heartfelt laughter can ease tension, boost your immune system, and give your mind the break it desperately needs. Over time, this consistent habit of choosing joy, even in small doses, starts to have a physical impact. Have you noticed? People who are always thankful, always cracking a smile, always trying to make others feel good, those people seem to glow differently. Even when they're older, they still carry a youthful light in their eyes. It's not about ignoring pain. It's not about pretending everything is okay. It's about deciding that pain will not define your personality. And this is a choice. Every single day, when life throws hardship your way, and it will, you can either sit in the misery and keep replaying it, or you can acknowledge it, accept it, and then say to yourself, I still choose joy. I still choose to smile. I still choose to be someone that brings warmth to others. And when you live like that, you become a source of light. People will come around you and feel better, lighter, more hopeful. And what's amazing is, while you're lifting others, you're healing yourself too. That internal light doesn't just help your mental health, it transforms how you carry yourself, your tone, your eyes, your aura. That's why someone can be 50 years old and still have the vibrant presence of someone half their age. They've laughed more than they've complained. They've chosen gratitude more than they've fed into frustration. They've made joy a habit not because life is easy, but because they've made peace with what they can't control. So, if you're someone who still finds moments to laugh, who can joke with sincerity, who brightens up the room, even though you've been through hardship, you are carrying one of the most powerful anti-aging qualities known to the human soul. And that's why, when others look at you, they don't just see a happy person, they see someone who is alive, someone who radiates youth, not because of smooth skin or flawless features, but because they've kept their heart soft and their spirit light. That's not luck, that's character. And it's a blessing worth protecting. There's something deeply spiritual about how you treat your body. It's not just a physical vessel, it's a trust, a divine amana given to you temporarily, a tool, a responsibility, and ultimately a test. Those who look younger than their age are often those who have, knowingly or unknowingly, respected that trust. Now, let's be honest. In today's world, many people either obsess over their appearance or completely neglect it. But there's a middle path, a path of intentional care, not out of vanity, not for social media, but because you recognize that your body was given to you by the Almighty for a purpose, and that purpose requires you to be well balanced and functioning. When someone lives their life with moderation, you can see the results, not just in their health, but in their energy, their posture, their overall presence. It's in the person who doesn't overeat, not because they're dieting, but because they understand the importance of self-control. It's in the one who walks regularly, not to look a certain way, but to stay active and grateful for the ability to move. It's in the individual who rests when needed, because they've learned that exhaustion isn't a badge of honor. It's in those who choose clean food, not because it's trendy, but because they view their body as a sacred tool, not a trash bin for processed chemicals. When you honor your body, it honors you back. And one of the ways it honors you is by aging gracefully. It holds on to strength longer. It carries you with dignity. It reflects clarity in your eyes, sharpness in your speech, and confidence in your walk. You don't just look young, you carry a presence that speaks of balance. But it's not just about food and fitness. Honoring the body is also about what you don't expose yourself to. What are you watching? What are you listening to? What kind of environments are you repeatedly placing yourself in? Because just like unhealthy food harms the body, toxic inputs, vulgarity, negativity, aimlessness, they drain the soul. And when your soul is drained, it shows in your body. The heaviness, the fatigue, the dullness, it all connects. Now let's take it deeper. Some people are blessed with youthfulness simply because of their intentional routines, waking up early, having structure, avoiding extremes, and turning to prayer. These acts don't just feed the soul, they regulate your life. And regulation brings peace. Peace brings stability, and stability shows itself on your face. You see, aging isn't just about time passing. It's about how time has passed. What habits did you form? What rhythms did you maintain? What did you expose yourself to day after day? And so, when someone who looks youthful is asked, "What's your secret?" they often shrug and say, "I just live normally." But their normal is full of silent disciplines. They don't binge, they don't abuse, they don't overdo, they rest, they hydrate, they pause, they pray, they reflect. They don't punish their body, they don't glorify burnout. And what's truly beautiful is they do all of this without seeking attention for it. They just do it out of a quiet sense of responsibility. They recognize this body doesn't belong to me, it's a trust, and one day I'll return it. And so the reward for treating it with respect is not just in the hereafter. It shows up here, in this world, in the form of graceful aging, sharpness of mind, and the beautiful, youthful aura that others can't quite describe, but always notice. So if you're someone who's taken care of your body, not for the camera, not for compliments, but for the sake of being trustworthy with what you were given, then perhaps the way you look today is not a coincidence. It is the natural result of sacred self-care. That kind of care doesn't shout, it doesn't show off. It just manifests quietly, beautifully, and in a way that turns heads without trying. That is the beauty of honoring your body and your trust. So yes, when you choose to take care of your body as a trust, you're not just preserving your appearance, you're fulfilling a sacred duty. Because this body doesn't belong to you. It never did. One day it will return to the dust it came from. But while you're in it, you are responsible for what you do with it, how you treat it, what you expose it to, and how much rest or abuse you subject it to. Some people spend years chasing outer beauty with no regard for inner order. They try to reverse aging with treatments, filters, surgeries, but inside they're exhausted, spiritually disoriented, running on adrenaline and caffeine, chasing validation, performing perfection, and the body eventually gives up. It says, I can't carry this anymore. But those who honor their body from the inside out, they don't need to fight aging. They age with dignity. They don't hide behind artificial youth. They carry real strength, real clarity, real presence. And here's the beauty of it. This doesn't require perfection. You don't need to eat flawlessly. You don't need to be at the gym 6 days a week. You don't need to obsess over your reflection. That's not the goal. The goal is balance, discipline, intentionality, gratitude. It's about saying, I've been given this heart, this spine, these eyes, these legs. I must protect them. I must preserve them, not for fashion, not for attention, but because they are a gift. And I don't want to be ungrateful for the gift. That mindset, that humility, that daily awareness that your body is not yours, it changes everything. It makes you more gentle with yourself, more thoughtful about your habits, more conscious of your limits, and in return your body responds. It supports you, it carries you with steadiness, it holds you up with grace. It doesn't break down as easily. It protects you the way you protected it. And the reward of that, people around you may not always understand it. They might compliment your appearance, your posture, your energy, but they won't know the full story. They won't see the choices you made silently, the nights you slept early, the meals you skipped because they weren't good for you, the walks you took instead of staying glued to a screen, the moments you said no to harmful indulgence, the prayers you made for health, the water you drank instead of a quick fix. All of it adds up. It adds up in your face, in your skin, in your tone, in the way you show up in the world. And more importantly, it adds up in your scale of deeds. Because taking care of your body, when done with the intention of honoring the trust, becomes worship. It becomes ibadah. Even something as simple as sleeping early with the niyyah to wake up fresh for Fajr becomes part of your reward. So if today you are someone who looks younger than your age, and you know that part of that is because you lived with discipline, even imperfectly, know that you've already been rewarded in this life. And trust, even greater rewards are waiting in the next. Because you didn't chase vanity, you lived with value, and that makes all the difference. And let me tell you something, value outlasts vanity. Vanity fades. It needs constant attention, constant applause. It rises and falls with trends. It demands visibility. It screams for approval. But value? It's quiet, stable, rooted in something deeper. It doesn't need to be seen to be real. It just works. It carries you forward, and eventually it speaks for you. When you honor your body not to impress, but to fulfill a trust, you're not just maintaining your appearance, you're building character. You're aligning your physical habits with your spiritual intentions. That kind of alignment radiates in ways no filter ever can. And even if no one ever compliments you for it, even if you never get acknowledged for the small, quiet disciplines, the one who gave you this body knows. He sees it all. He sees when you push the plate away, not out of image consciousness, but because you don't want to fall into gluttony. He sees when you choose to walk instead of scroll, not for your waistline, but to clear your head and reconnect. He sees when you hydrate, when you stretch, when you rest, not to meet beauty standards, but because you understand you're preserving His gift. And that's what turns these small physical acts into acts of worship. That's what brings barakah into your body, into your life, into your presence, and yes, into the way you age. Because barakah doesn't just affect your time or wealth. Barakah shows up in your health, in your sleep, in the way your body sustains you even when you haven't done everything right, in the way you recover faster, in the way people say, there's something different about you, I don't know what it is. That something is divine favor. That something is the silent reward of a person who respected what they were given. And here's the truth, most people only start caring about their body after it breaks down, after the warning signs, after the diagnosis, after the fatigue becomes unbearable. That's when the regret shows up. I should have rested more, I should have eaten better, I should have listened to my body when it whispered before it screamed. But if you've been blessed to be among those who honored it early, who listened before the damage, who chose balance before the burnout, then understand this. Your youthfulness isn't luck. It's preservation by principle. And that's rare. Because today, everyone wants to look young, but very few want to live with the kind of self-respect and self-control that actually keeps them young. So the next time someone compliments your glow, your energy, your presence, don't just say thank you, say Alhamdulillah. Because the beauty they're seeing is just the visible part. The real reward is deeper. It's in your peace, it's in your steadiness, it's in knowing that you're treating the gift the way the giver intended. And that kind of care doesn't age. Some people walk through life carrying a calmness you can't quite explain. They might not speak much, they're not loud or flashy, they don't advertise themselves, but there's a glow to them, a quiet strength, a peaceful dignity that turns heads without trying. You look at them and think there's something about them, they just look peaceful, rested, younger than their age. What you're witnessing, even if you don't realize it, is the protection that comes through prayer and patience. You see, prayer isn't just a ritual, it's not just movement, it's not just a checkbox on a spiritual to-do list. Prayer, when done consistently, sincerely recalibrates your entire system. 5 times a day, you disconnect from the world and reconnect with your Creator. 5 times a day, you step out of stress and step into stillness. 5 times a day, you bow and say, I'm not in control and I don't have to be. That spiritual reset has physical consequences. It soothes the nervous system. It eases anxiety. It regulates your emotions. It grounds your soul. It trains your breathing. It improves circulation. It creates a rhythm in your day, and that rhythm brings balance. And balanced people age differently. They don't carry as much tension in their face. They don't constantly chase the next thing. Their body isn't in a perpetual state of fight or flight. They have a source of calm that the world can't shake. And what about patience? Patience is the soul's endurance. It's the strength you build in silence, the tears you hold back, the arguments you walk away from, the injustices you entrust to God instead of retaliating, the chaos you survive without letting it change who you are. Patience isn't passive, it's powerful, and it leaves its mark not just in your character but in your body. You can spot a patient person. They don't react emotionally to everything. They're not easily provoked. They've learned to wait, to surrender, to breathe. And over the years, that emotional self-regulation saves them from a lot of unnecessary stress. Because the truth is, stress is a silent aging agent. It damages your organs, it disrupts your sleep, it accelerates inflammation, it shows in your skin, it takes away your light. people who are constantly worried, constantly angry, constantly rushing, they start to look tired, worn out, older than they are. But people who pray, people who practice patience, they're protected from the inside out. Not because they've never faced hardship, but because they've learned how to carry it. They know when to fight and when to surrender. They know how to lift their hands and say, I can't do this alone. Help me. And that simple act of submission, of handing your burdens over to the one who created you, that's what gives you the kind of peace that no vacation, no therapy, no skincare routine can offer. And here's something people don't realize. Consistent prayer is one of the best forms of emotional detox. You get to offload your grief, your shame, your guilt, your worries. You get to cry in private, to speak without judgment, to let it all out. And when you rise from that prayer, you feel lighter, not just spiritually, but physically. Your shoulders loosen, your back straightens, your chest opens up. That kind of regular emotional cleansing, it adds years to your life and removes years from your face. So if you're someone who prays, even imperfectly, if you've tried to be patient, even when it hurt, if you've held back your anger and trusted the process, if you've turned to your Creator instead of turning bitter, then don't be surprised if you've been spiritually preserved. Because you've been watering your soul, you've been healing from within, you've been relying on the ultimate source of peace, and that peace has become your protection. And now you wear that protection in your calmness, in your grace, in your quiet confidence, in your youthfulness. People may say you're glowing, but what they don't realize is that your glow comes from sujood, from tears shed in silence, from restraint practiced when anger was boiling, from patience that almost broke you but didn't. You've been protected and preserved, not just by genetics or lifestyle, but by divine mercy. And maybe you didn't even notice. Because the truth is, spiritual protection is rarely loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't draw attention. It works in the background, quietly shielding you from things that could have destroyed your health, your peace, your clarity. You may never realize the sickness you were spared from, the mental breakdown you narrowly avoided, the toxic path that never pulled you in, the damage your soul would have endured had you not turned to prayer or clung to patience. You didn't escape those things because you were lucky. You escaped them because somewhere along the way, even in your weakest moment, you chose to trust. You whispered a prayer instead of losing your mind. You stayed silent when you could have exploded. You took a deep breath and said, "It's in God's hands," when everything inside you wanted to scream. And now, that choice lives in you. It has shaped your energy. It has softened your face. It has added years to your peace and taken years off your appearance, because the people who age the slowest are often the people who surrender the fastest. They don't hold on to pain longer than they need to. They don't replay the betrayal. They don't dwell in bitterness. They take the hurt and they place it where it belongs, in the hands of the one who sees all, knows all, and heals all. That's what prayer does. It doesn't always change your situation, but it changes you inside the situation. And that shift, that internal surrender, that is what keeps people youthful, even when life has been unkind. It's not the absence of pain, it's the presence of divine connection through the pain. And patience, it's a quiet strength, a muscle you build with every delay, every unanswered question, every heartbreak you didn't allow to harden you. People think patience is weakness. but it's one of the highest forms of strength. Because in a world where everyone is reacting, exploding in anger, collapsing under pressure, lashing out in frustration, the patient person remains rooted, still, grounded, trusting. And just like a tree planted in firm soil, they weather the storm and come out stronger, more vibrant, more alive. So when someone looks at you and says you've hardly aged, they might assume it's skincare or clean eating. But deep down,